Hey, welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I don't know. What I do know is I've got a nice bright look going on here today, courtesy of another UK indie brand. This is the Disco Queen palette from Exposed Cosmetics. I do feel like I should be going, no, I'm going to go and play some Bee Gees music, and if you want to see exactly how I achieved this look, you're in just the right place. Here it comes. Hey, welcome back from the intro. As you can see, face is on. Today I have got Revlon Colour Stay for combination oily in shade 110. I think I've already done a foundation review for this, I'm not sure. Bronzer wise, I've actually gone for this Physicians Formula Sexy Booster Bronzer. It's supposed to have some kind of, I don't know, pheromones or something in it that's meant to make you feel, you know, more sexy, apparently. With a corset. I just fancied wearing a shiny bronzer today. It's as simple as that. And my L'Oreal Life's a Peach Blush, which, as you know, at the moment is one of my favourites. Brows, L'Oreal Brow Expert, and now it's time to tell you, you've already seen from the intro, but I haven't filmed yet. Another new indie brand, well, new to me anyway, Exposed Cosmetics Disco Queen palette. My first impression when I picked this up is, god damn, this is light. Yeah, Jeffrey's £6 highlighter palette is a lot heavier than this. This feels about the same weight as one of these Revolution Baked highlighters. So it's really, really light. So I hope that means that they've managed to do something packaging wise that it's great for the environment. It doesn't look massively thick from the side, but comparable palettes that I've got with about the same thickness, way more than this does. Either that or you've got hardly any shadows. It says on the back, net weight 15 grams or 0.53 ounces. Right, as I said, this is the Exposed Professional Cosmetics. I believe they started off as a nail lacquer company. Disco Queen palette directions: apply with a brush and build colour gradually. Thanks for that. Foil shadows are most effectively applied with fingertips. You want me to poke my eyeballs out? So obviously the foil shadows I will be applying with a dampened brush. I have done swatches for this. This doesn't have any names, and can you hear that as it kind of... It didn't want to fold right the way back. There's no mirror, so I might as well fold it all the way back. There are only, as far as I can see, these top four middle shadows here and this black one are the only mattes. So if you're not confident about building a look with shimmer shades, this is probably not the palette for you. My base has been set. I don't use an eye primer. I just continue my foundation and concealer. Oh, I didn't tell you what concealer I used. Maybelline Instant Age Rewind thingy in shade 00 Ivory with Goji Berry and Haloxyl. I just carry that across my lids, blend it out, and it's all set with Coty Airspun. I have got my colour switch which is not a Veromona one because I'm not paying 20 quid for something when you can get the equivalent from eBay for about 3 quid, which I believe is what I paid for mine. I have got my Spectrum B06 fluffy brush, so it's time to stick some shadows on, so I need to get you zoomed in. I'd kind of like you to be able to see both eyes. There we go. Right, now when I look straight ahead you can see all of my mobile lid. So I don't have hooded lids. If you don't see that when you look straight ahead, excuse me, I'm not quite sure where my voice is, but apparently it's not with me this morning. When you look straight ahead, if you don't see that, you can still follow this tutorial. You just need to get a slightly, okay, my voice is annoying me now, a slightly smaller brush, pick up some shadow, and with your eye open, just sketch where you're going to need your crease to fall. Obviously that is going to reduce the amount of space you've got between your crease colour and your brow. I've got very deep set eyes, which means I have dark circles that even concealer won't cover, and as an upside I do have a nice lot of space to play with here. If you find it has really drastically reduced the amount of space between your crease and your brow, try sort of lifting your brows when you're applying the shadow. If you're still finding there's not as much space there as you'd like, then start off with a slightly smaller brush than this, but it needs to be sort of really very loosely packed like this, so that it can blend the shadows out. Right, I will try and remember to put something here showing you which one of these I am using. I haven't shown you the swatches yet, have I? Right, let me stick the swatches up for a minute. Okay, so there you go, top row and half of the middle row on the top, and second half of the middle row and the bottom row, funnily enough, on the bottom. Right, okay, let's get it started in here. Right, as always, I do always say that if there is a shadow in the palette, husband's obviously not the camera again, there we go. If there's a shadow in the palette which is close to your natural skin tone or 1 or 2 shades lighter, although I have set my concealer with my Coty Airspun, I do find that powders from the same palette obviously blend best on themselves, and as there is a creamy shade in here, which quite clearly is quite close to my natural skin tone, I'm just going to very gently buff that all over from brow to lash. Obviously it's a matte shadow. You can do it with a shimmer shadow if you want, but I know a lot of people, once you get over 40, actually once you get over 30, a lot of people think, I can't put shimmers in my crease. You can put shimmers in your crease, it just depends which brush you use. That's the big difference. You know, I've done looks with all shimmers and I'm 44, so I doubt you can even see that colour on my brows. So let's crack on with the colour that you can see. I'm gonna, so that's my phone bloody vibrating. Let's put that over there and then hopefully if it does vibrate it won't translate onto camera. Obviously this is going to be quite a bright look, so I want to start off really with quite bright, but there's 3 options of matte shadows unless I want to start off with a black, which clearly I don't. There's a light yellow, a light tan and a light grey, which, given how bright the rest of the palette is, let's start off with this grey. Oh, there's some kick up in that pan. You see that? And that was me very barely touching the... Tap your brush off well, folks. Right, so as always I'm going to start from the outside edge and windscreen wiper that through my crease. Before picking up the excess that's on the top there and doing little circular movements to blend the colour up. Reversing the direction of the brush as I come back away from the nose. I think I might need to add a little bit more shadow. How's your day been so far? Is it a good one? I hope it is. This is going on okay. I mean, in my mirror I can see it a lot more than I can see it in the viewfinder. But I expect when I edit it, it will show up much clearer. I have that sometimes. I say something because obviously I can only see what's in my viewfinder here, which isn't as high res as the actual camera is. I don't think any viewfinders are as high res as the cameras are, unless they're stupidly expensive cameras. And I'll say something, then when I'm editing it, what I've seen on the viewfinder either doesn't show or does show. So I think, you sound like a plonker now, Ange. Right, as you can see, I'm now repeating this on the other eye. I started with this grey because I was hoping to pop the yellow over the top, because I thought if I start with the yellow and then put the brown on, that's going to be a bit boring. But I thought this being like a dove grey, like a very, very pale grey, very similar to my school uniform grey as it happens, I thought there'd be more chance of the yellow actually showing up against it. So we shall see whether I am right or not. Well, probably not, in which case I'm probably going to whack a shimmer through the crease anyway at some point, simply because there's so few mattes to choose from. Okay, that's gone on. It's not really showing up very well in the viewfinder, but let's continue. I shall now go into that matte yellow that's next to it. As you will see, I have actually picked up pigment. Yeah, can you concentrate on the brush and not me? Thank you. As you can see, I have picked up pigment. I'm gonna repeat as before and run it through my crease, but this time when I take it up the eye, I'm not going to take it as far. The first colour I tend to stop about 5 or 6 mils below the lowest part of my brow. The second colour I tend to take about halfway up. So let's see how this fares. Oh, it is actually showing up against the grey, I was right. Yay! That's nice. All those art lessons years and years and years ago at school have obviously paid off. Either that or it's all the playing with makeup in the years since. Although I say that, apart from a brief dalliance in the 80s when everything was bright and clashed. And thanks to Princess Di, we all had blue eyeliner and blue mascara, which I'm pleased to see is actually making a bit of a comeback. I didn't really do a huge amount makeup wise through the 90s and noughties until we got to about, I suppose, 2010, 2011, probably 2011 actually, 2011, 2012, when I first started to get into makeup. So, and then it was lipsticks. I started off with lipsticks. I didn't have a eyeshadow palette fascination for a long time. which is why I actually went through my first Modern Renaissance palette and panned it, or panned about 2/3 of it anyway, which is why my current Modern Renaissance doesn't look as well used, because I have so many more options to play with now. This yellow's going on quite nicely. You watch, I'll have a look on the edit and it'll be patchy as hell, but I can assure you, in my mirror and in my viewfinder, that is blended. I might add a little bit more colour, so just to take that up a little bit on the outside edge, I just want to see a little bit more of that yellow. There we go. Then I'm just going to gently buff where the yellow meets the grey. Just to make sure there's no harsh edges anywhere. Right, clean that brush off, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to use a more tapered brush, as you can see, but it is still very loosely packed. This is from the Balm, and it's their Crease Love and Happiness brush. At one end it's got this that I'm going to be using, and at the other end it's got a flat but chunky packer style brush. So, purples and blues are the most difficult colours to create. So there are 2 blues and a purple and a burgundy and a pink out of the options that I've got here. So, you know I'm going to go in with the blue first, right? So I'm going to go in with the deeper of the 2 blues. Just tap off this shade and just lay some pigment down on the outside of the eye here. Blues and purples are the most difficult colours to create. So when I've got a new palette, if they've got blues or purples in them, I do tend to gravitate to them first, because it gives you a good indication as to what the rest of the palette's going to behave like. I'm just going to take the colour off of that brush now and just blend the colour that I've put in. But I'm literally just blending it along the crease line. I'm not taking it up the eye at all, because I want to keep this focused a bit lower down so that we can still see the yellow and we can still see the grey. It's blending out quite nicely. Doesn't seem to want to lay pigment down in this outside corner, but I will make it lay pigment on the outside corner. Even if I have to get a different brush out, I will make it lay pigment down. I don't give up with them. I've only ever given up once with an eyeshadow palette so far. I'm just going to grab my previous brush back and just buff over that blue, see if I can blend it out a little bit more, because it's not quite as buffed as I would have liked. It's still a little bit patchy, but or at least in the viewfinder it looks patchy. In my mirror it actually looks okay. So I'm going to repeat that with the other eye, going in with the smaller, more tapered brush initially. The reason I'm closing this eye, and I didn't really close the other one until I was just buffing, is because I'm actually blinding this eye. So if I close the other eye for anything other than I'm just buffing over a colour I've already put down, not a lot of makeup happens. So you can see I've just laid colour down and then I'm just running that through my crease line again, or wherever your crease needs to be if you've got hooded eyes. And then I'm taking the colour off with a small brush and I'm just going to buff this colour initially just using this smaller brush because I don't want to take it too far up the lid at all. This eye does actually crease more than the other eye does because it got pulled around a lot as a kid at the ophthalmic hospital when they were trying to rectify my sight as a kid. So this one always creases more. So go back to my big fluffy brush again and just really go over that and make sure it's as blended as possible. Yeah, I'm happy with that so far. Right. What colour shall I put underneath? Let's grab some of that purple. And I'm grabbing this on the flat packer end. Sorry if my white balance keeps going up and down. It's come over quite cloudy outside, so I'm just hoping that my little LED light I've got here will keep it bright enough for you to see what's going on. So I'm just going to run this sort of 2/3 of the way along the bottom of my lash line and then do the same on this eye. I do like that purple, I've got to be honest. But then it is my favourite colour. Then I'm going to go into the hot pink. And just pop that at the start. Because having said 80s, I now feel like going super bright. And it is a super bright palette, so it does kind of call for a more, you know, if you're a shrinking violet, you don't want this palette. Okay, and then using the fluffy end, I'm going to pick up some of the orange and just run that along the edge just to buff it out a little bit and just soften that look. Don't worry, I haven't finished with the eyes yet. I always do this bit before I then go in and do the rest of the lid. I use the orange just really to buff those colours out a little bit. Not that you can really see it very well. Right. I am now going to go in with a Spectrum A16 brush, which is a small packer brush like this. And, ooh, what colour shall I pick up? Let's pick up this bright yellow initially. And out of interest, let's just see how well it will apply on a dry brush. Well, it's certainly laying the pigment down. Which, seeing as though I didn't actually cut the crease with any concealer, that's actually quite impressive. Because it is going over that blue right in the corner there. Don't pull your eye around like I am. I just have to do this to get into the corner, because this is the eye that got pulled around more. Otherwise, I know from experience, I'll end up with no shadow. Okay. Right, I'm now going to go into the bright green, using that same brush, and I'm just going to lay some of that green down on the lid. Again, this is going in on a dry brush. That's building up quite nicely actually, and there's not a huge amount of fallout, which is always nice to see. And let's pop some green on this side as well. Why should all the 20-year-olds have all the fun with all the bright looks? If you're over 30 or you're over 40 or you're over 50, or hell, even if you're over 60, 70 or 80, if you want to put bright colours on, then you do it. I was going to say you go girl, but you boys can do it too if you like. I know I've got a couple of male subscribers. I've actually had quite a few new ones lately, so hi, welcome aboard. Right, now I'm going to go into the other blue, the lighter blue, and pop some of that next to the green. I'm actually quite impressed with how well these are going on, especially when the back of the palette said that foils are best applied with your finger. That normally implies that if you use a brush you're not going to get much colour payoff, but I'm using a brush, a dry brush at that, and I'm getting quite a reasonable colour payoff, I think. What do you think? And now I'm going to go into the purple, You thought I was just going to stick that purple underneath my eye and wimp out, didn't you? No, no. No, no, no. We're sticking some purple on the lid. Ooh. And obviously where the two colours meet, I'm kind of blending, and I've been doing that all the way across. I forgot to tell you I was doing it, really. But you can see what I'm doing, you're not daft. And I'm just sort of like feathering the edge into the dark blue that I'd already put on, or the darker blue. I'm not tapping the brushes off with these foils, I'm literally just running them over the surface to pick up pigment, and then just popping it straight on the eye. Which is why I'm getting a little bit more fallout. Ooh, I quite like that. Oh, Betty. Right, I'm going to go back in with my Crease Love and Happiness brush. Just pick up a little bit of that dark blue that I originally used. I'm just going to deepen that edge up just a little bit where it buffs into that purple. And then I'll just put some just on the very tip, just to run right the way across the top of all those colours, just because I want a slightly deeper edge just there. I'm not going to blend that, I'm literally just laying that colour down over the top of the brighter ones. Ooh. I really hope that these don't fade during the day, because I'm really quite liking this at the moment. Right, I am going to go off camera and do some mascara, and I will be back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, I'm back. I used my L'Oreal Miss Baby Roll Mega Volume in a shade teal blue for my lashes. I used the I Heart Revolution Princess Cut highlighter, which looks like that and is pretty damn blinding. And then Max Factor Honey Lacquer in shade Indulgent Coral on my lips. So, what do I think so far of this? It would have been nice if there'd been a few more options in terms of matte colours. You know, I would like to have seen maybe a blue or a green matte, just to help build other looks. Because I don't think, I mean, I've got to be honest, a lot of the time I probably wouldn't even touch those mattes, I'd go straight into shimmers, which kind of defeats the object of the whole palette, really. I liked the way the colours applied. It wasn't a huge amount of fallout. Blue was a little bit difficult to blend out, but then it was a shimmer, so, and shimmers aren't designed to blend like mattes are. And once I got my big fluffy brush on it, it blended out fine. So it did take a bit more work, and that is something to bear in mind, that obviously if you are going to be putting the shimmers through the crease, you may have to work a bit harder to get them to actually blend it out. But the blue blended out okay, so no problems there at all. I will take photos throughout the day, as long as I can remember and light permitting, so that we can see exactly how much these fade, or if they fade throughout the day. And I will put that picture up here now. And back to me. I have no idea whether they faded or not. So, hey, look at that, no fading, or, yeah, they faded a bit. There you go, both options covered. Right, so far, I like this. Do I recommend it? If you're confident enough to build a look just only having those 4 mattes on the top row, then I say yeah. If you want lots of shimmer options as a supplemental palette, if you've got a lot of neutral palettes and you're looking for something to add a pop of colour, there's a lot of choice here. I will obviously not know how well it fades or how well it lasts throughout the day yet, so that may affect my decision, but at the moment, yes, that one gets thumbs up from me. So I hope you enjoyed this film. If you did, it'd be great if you could hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell, and when you hit the bell, make sure you choose all notifications, not just some, and then you get notified every time I upload another video. All that remains for me to say is you'll stay fabulous, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.